Hey everyone, welcome to the first multifamily mixtape podcast of 2025. Thank you for giving us another listen. New year, new material, hopefully new listeners. But we hope you had a great winter holiday and a happy new year. If you're anything like me, you have written the date wrong a couple times already. I did 2 times in a row just the other day. I was filling out some paperwork, and I wrote January 7th, 2024, and it was not 2024. So I was like, crap. So I struck through it, and I got distracted because my phone rang. And then when I filled it out again, I did the exact same thing. Yeah, it was great. So at that point, I just threw the paper away and printed a new one because that's just bad. But anyway, it's not why we're here. I was having lunch with a friend recently, and a maintenance supervisor here in town, and he was telling me that the company he works for had signed a maintenance purchasing agreement with a supplier, a parts supplier, an MRO supplier. And he was not a fan of the agreement. So we had our lunch together, just catching up, but then he started talking about this purchasing agreement and how he did not think it was a great thing for his property. So as an owner operator, I was able to provide him like some reasons why owner operators, management companies make decisions like that. But it was really nice to hear his take on it as an on-site working maintenance supervisor. So we had some really good conversation, and I asked for his permission because I said, man, I would love to have a camera rolling right now because this is great conversation. So I asked his permission if I could take what I remembered from our conversation, put it out into bullet points, and present both sides of this and just see if you all out there agree with some of the things that we discussed and we talked about. Would really like some back and forth and some feedback on this in the comments. But just to make sure that we are on the same page as far as a maintenance purchasing agreement, I did use the Google to come up with a definition. It's a very stock definition, but at least it will tell you what we're talking about so that we're all looking at it from the same lens. In the context of multifamily maintenance, a purchasing agreement typically refers to a contract between the property management company or owner and a supplier or vendor that outlines terms for purchasing goods and services needed for ongoing maintenance, repairs, and upgrades. Okay, so now that everyone knows what we're talking about, we can look at this through the same lens, hopefully. So I've prepared a list of pros and cons from owner operator, and I've prepared a list of pros and cons from on-site staff, maintenance supervisor specifically, because that's who I was talking to. And then I've got some little closing arguments at the end, but let's get through these. So pros. Cost savings, discounted pricing. Purchasing agreements often lock in discounted rates or bulk pricing for recurring maintenance supplies and services. Yes. Okay. Discounted rates, not the best rate. Keep that in mind. Discounted. And then you can also get volume discounts if you buy in bulk or agree to purchase so many of this part. Maybe you're doing a renovation. Maybe you're just replacing all of your whatever, your faucets. Maybe you're getting rid of a certain type of faucet because parts are too expensive and going to a different brand, whatever it is. You can get cost savings include discounted pricing and volume discounts. Another pro is predictable budgeting. With a purchasing agreement, you'll know your fixed costs up front, which can help in forecasting and managing budgets for ongoing maintenance expenses. Yes, it helps you prepare a budget. Can you get specific? Probably not, because you can't flip through. Well, no one puts prices in catalogs anymore because as soon as you print a catalog, it's out of date. You put a price in a catalog, it's out of date. So online is easier, and it's preferred method right now, because they can at least update prices as you go. And with the cost of goods, inflation, incoming tariffs for the country, the material that these supply companies are bringing into the States or purchasing, the costs are going to go up and down. Anyway, online shopping, online ordering, online catalogs are the way to go, because at least you can see true, accurate pricing at that moment. Simplified purchasing systems. A pre-established agreement simplifies the purchasing process by cutting down on the need for individual quotes or approvals for each purchase, saving time and administrative effort. I think this is one of the better pros, in that it just saves time. It just saves time, and time is money. Less time I have to spend combing through material, it's more time I have to work. Can't believe I said that. But whatever. It's the truth. Better vendor relationships. Long-term agreements can often foster stronger relationships with suppliers, which can lead to more reliable service, priority scheduling, and better communication. Yes and no. I put that as a pro, but when I was talking to my friend, maintenance supervisor guy, that was a con, because he said, Mark, as soon as you sign an agreement, that sales rep no longer has a need to sell to me, which means I get worse service. And I thought, I can't argue with that. I mean, shame on that person, because agreement should not be a ha ha ha, I gotcha, you have to buy from me now. It should be a, hey, we have a partnership, let's work together to make this work for both of us. It should be that. That's how I think about it, but that's not how he thought about it. So, pros and cons. What do you think about that? All right, quality control. When you enter into an agreement with a specific vendor, you can usually negotiate standards for service quality, ensuring that repairs and maintenance are done consistently or products are to a higher standard. I have a rule of thumb when it comes to quality control. I do the good, better, best. So if what I'm looking to buy has more than one option, I do a good, better, best list, and I rate them from not necessarily the highest cost. The highest cost is not always the best product. It's just the highest cost. But I rate them in price from highest cost down, and then I draw a line. I know, in the age of podcasts and having all things video and being able to overlap videos, I just don't want to get into that. So I drew it. Good, better, best. You've got your top items, you've got your top better items, you've got your top good items. My rule of thumb is this line right here. I want to buy this product. This is what I want. I want the third, in this diagram, I want the third of the betters, okay? A lot of times, these materials right here are what we in the industry, what we in the maintenance field call throwaways, which means you spend, and my pricing could be way off, y'all. I'm just throwing some stuff out there, but I could be buying a kitchen faucet for $20. Okay, I'm spending $20 for a faucet. I install the faucet, resident moves in, but as soon as they move out, I have to throw that faucet away because it's cheap. It's made of junk, and the finish is wearing off. The knobs won't stay on. They're stripped, whatever you call it. Any number of things could possibly happen, and I have to throw away that faucet. So your good, better, bests, the lower tier of those goods, the cheapest product is not always the best because you're constantly having to replace it. So over the life of your loan that you have the property, your loan indicates that you're going to have it for 5 years and you're going to flip it. If you're putting in inferior products, cheaper products, you're spending a lot of money. Like, there's a line where you can put in the lowest of the betters, which has parts that you can replace. So the faucet might be a little bit more expensive. It might be a $60 or $70 faucet, but it's going to have metal waterways, or it's going to have real threaded knobs, and what's the word I'm looking for? Your faucet stems. I don't know why I don't know why that couldn't come to me, but your faucet stems are replaceable, or the seats and the springs are replaceable. And so you can actually become a repair tech instead of a replace tech. But anyway, quality control. When working with a purchasing agreement, you can establish what that is and have a price. You've got a range from here to here. Here are your 3 options, as long as they use the similar parts. Because what I don't want to do on a property with 400 units is have 20 different faucets on site, and that's just more product I have to carry to repair it. So pick a brand, pick a faucet, pick a style, get the replacement parts, repair parts that you need, and stick with it. Seems pretty simple to me. Consolidation of services. A lot of suppliers now are offering multiple services. You can get your maintenance items from them, but you can also get custom window screens. You can get custom blinds. You can do bulk orders for renovations. So by having a purchasing agreement in place, you can get a nice company that has all of the services that would benefit you on your property. I think that's a good thing. And then back to just it's saving time, you have reduced administrative work. Having a single agreement often means fewer contracts to manage and less paperwork, which reduces administrative overhead. True. I think that's huge. Now let's go to the cons. From a owner operator side, management company side. So these are the pros from owner operator manager. Here are the cons from owner operator manager. Inflexibility. Once the purchasing agreement is signed, it may lock you into certain suppliers or services for the duration of the contract, which can limit your flexibility if a better or cheaper option becomes available later. That's true. So true. Potential overcommitment. Long-term agreements may lead to overcommitting to a vendor or service level that no longer meets your evolving needs. True. Vendor lock-in. A lengthy or exclusive purchasing agreement could result in vendor lock-in, whether you're tied to one supplier, which can reduce bargaining power if there are limited alternatives available. While that was a pro, it can also be a con. Depends on how you look at it. You have hidden costs. While the contract may have initially seemed like a cost-saving option, there could be hidden fees, such as cancellation charges, price hacks, extra costs for items not explicitly covered in the agreement. Like, hey, we're going to give you a third-tier pricing or the best third-line price, whatever they call it now, on your top 20 items. Well, that's great for those 20 items. But what about some of those other items I don't use as frequently? The price could be higher. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Quality variability. While you may secure quality control in theory, not all suppliers consistently meet expectations. A long-term agreement could result in service quality slipping over time. With a purchasing agreement, it may be harder to switch vendors without incurring penalties. So I mentioned tariffs that were going to be affecting us with the new administration. And I'm just going off what I've been told. I'm not a hater by any form or fashion, just stating words that were said. What is this going to mean for our industry? What's this going to mean for our suppliers who rely on other countries for our products? Let's face it, they do. Okay. If our suppliers only provided us material that was made here in America, we would be complaining that the price was too high. So they have to go get more cost-effective alternatives. And as those prices become out of reach, they will go and look somewhere else to find a like product for a better price. It is what it is. It's the business. If you don't like it, start a company and sell all American made. Somebody do that, please. I would love to know. A potential for underuse or overuse. If the terms of the agreement don't match your actual usage needs, you may end up paying for goods or services you don't need. And then as far as just negotiating the contract, that could seem complex, time consuming, that sort of thing. So those are the pros and cons from owner, operator, manager. Now let's get into pros and cons from on-site, from maintenance supervisor. And these were my friend's points. I just kind of elaborated on them a little bit and I took out some of his words. Some of his words I can't say, well, I could say. I just don't want to. I don't want to be that guy. But a maintenance supervisor in multifamily setting plays a pivotal role in ensuring the upkeep of the property, overseeing day-to-day repairs, managing vendor relationships, and maintaining safety standards. The presence of a purchasing agreement can have both positive and negative impacts on a maintenance supervisor's role, particularly regarding decision-making autonomy and operational efficiency. Back when I was a maintenance supervisor, I told all my managers, hey, if you're hiring me as your maintenance supervisor, I am taking over the maintenance department. And then I waited to look at their face to determine on whether or not I wanted that relationship, whether or not I wanted to go to work for that particular property or that manager. Because, let's face it, sometimes it's a power thing. It is. Some people don't want to give up work that they have to do. I don't want to say work that they have to do. You know what? It's probably a conversation for another time. But that's what you were getting when you were hiring me as a maintenance supervisor. You were getting someone who wanted complete control over the maintenance department. And that included purchasing, purchase orders, budgeting, ordering, what my guys did during the day, all of that. Not to say that I didn't communicate with the manager. I communicated very well with the manager. You tell me what you need and I'll make sure it gets there. But don't tell me how to do what I know I need to do. If you're going to hire me, you're hiring me, and trust me. Okay? And it worked out. Worked out pretty good for a long time. So I don't see that a lot anymore. I don't see maintenance supervisors being what I call maintenance supervisors. I see them more of organizers, really. But again, another conversation for another time. How a purchasing agreement can help the maintenance supervisor. It will help by reducing the decision-making pressure. Okay? Office managers, maintenance supervisors, property staff, vendors are in and out of your door every day. Give me a chance, give me a chance, give me a chance. My price is better, my price is better. I can do this, I can do that. A lot of them are telling you the truth. They are. But if you have a purchasing agreement in place, it reduces the stress of, I don't say having to talk to them. I mean, it's a job. I mean, they have to do their job. So I respect that. I respect the grind. But it can also reduce pressure if I know I have a contract. I have a specific vendor or a list of specific vendors that I'm supposed to use. Reduces some of the stress from me. Okay, that's a pro. Efficiency gains, faster procurement. I hate that word. It just means you get stuff faster. Okay. Instead of spending time soliciting bids or getting approval for purchases each time a need arises, the supervisor can simply go through the pre-approved channels, right? Efficiency gains. You make me more efficient, saves me time during the day, or I could be doing other things like repairing work orders, fixing work orders, doing inspections, safety checks, whatever it is. It's also part of the efficiency gains is less paperwork. Okay. Improved vendor relationships. Do you remember that from the other list? Reliable service. Long-term agreements often can come with the benefit of preferred service levels. I hate to tell you this. There are preferred service levels. Okay. If I call my supplier and I say, hey, I need this now. And he says, I'm sorry, I got something I got to do. And I say, no. I need this now. If you have that preferred service level, you will get your product now. And here's another trick. Here's another tip. If you want the best pricing and you want the best service for your maintenance teams, pay your bills on time. Okay? Pay your bills on time. And you will get the best service, the best priced, all the time, every time. Okay? Take it to the bank. Pay your bills. No maintenance supervisor wants to get that call. I'm sure no property manager wants to get that call, but I'm just saying, like, from a supervisor standpoint, no one wants to get that call. Hey, I know you put in this order, but you've got 16 invoices outstanding and I got to get those paid. And, the response to that is, oh, well, if they don't want our business, go give it to somebody else. How about pay the bill? I don't know. There's a thought. Bulk buying advantage. That was also part of the pros on the other side of things, is that you could get better pricing for bulk items. And then a consistency in service. Again, set your quality standards. Material starts to come in. You start to create some consistency. You start to get in the habit of repairing things a specific way. You know what parts you need to order. It just becomes quicker, more efficient, consistent. How a purchasing agreement can restrict the maintenance supervisor. It reduces autonomy in vendor selection, limited options. The supervisor may be restricted to using only the vendors listed in the purchasing agreement, even if they have a preferred vendor they believe could provide a better service or a lower cost. This can limit flexibility in choosing vendors based on unique needs or personal preferences. I think I do agree that is a con. I do. I see it from the property owner, manager, owner operator side. I do see how having that is a good thing, but I also agree that having limited options is a bad thing. Products change all the time. New things, new technologies, new things come out all the time. And sometimes you have vendors negotiate contracts with some of these things to have access to them faster. And they are able to bring you a better product to market faster than perhaps who you are in an agreement with. That was a lot to say. So I think it's bad. Vendor lock-in, I feel, is a bad thing. Inflexibility and adapting to immediate needs. If a unique or urgent maintenance need arises outside the scope of the purchasing agreement, the supervisor may not have the flexibility to quickly source alternative solutions or vendors. Time. Okay, time. This could slow down response times, especially if an emergency requires immediate decisions. A fixed agreement may limit the supervisor's ability to purchase items on an as-needed basis without going through an approval process or the set suppliers. Another restriction could be the potential for poor fit with changing property needs. I'm going to sign this agreement based on what I need today. But in 6 months, the property I have may not be the same property. I may have new needs. You may need to renegotiate that contract. But depending on the contract, you may not be able to. So you could have a mismatch of services over time as the property evolves. Renovations, upgrades, changes in tenant needs, resident needs. Can't believe I wrote tenant. Who says tenant? I need some soft skills. Just kidding. I need to read that over again because I don't even know where I was. Over time, as property evolves, renovations, upgrades, or changes in resident needs, the terms of the purchasing agreement may no longer align well with the property's requirements. The supervisor might find themselves constrained by outdated agreements that don't match the property's current needs, leading to inefficiencies. Price increases. If the agreement has clauses for regular price increases, the supervisor may face pressure to manage escalating costs without the ability to renegotiate terms or explore more affordable alternatives. Quality control challenges or subpar service. Here we go. If the vendor's quality of work begins to decline over time, the supervisor may feel powerless to switch providers without violating the terms of the agreement or facing penalties. This could be frustrating if the maintenance supervisor feels the services being provided are no longer meeting expectations. That's a big one. It's a big one. And then you have the potential for complacency. relying on the agreement. Sometimes knowing that the agreement is in place might lead to complacency or a lack of proactive problem solving. If the supervisor doesn't feel empowered to explore alternative solutions or improvements outside of the agreement, it could potentially lead to stagnation in how maintenance is handled. What do you think about that? What do you think about those? Do you agree with any of it? Again, when we were having our conversation, I was coming into the conversation as the op-ed, the opposite of him, just to provide some good conversation and feedback from the owner operator management company side of things. But then listening to him talk about, okay, that's great for you. That's great for the management company or the owner or the operator. But the owner operator isn't the one doing the work. They're not the ones ordering the parts. They're not the ones installing the inferior products that I have to order. They're not the ones replacing the inferior products that I have to replace. They're not the ones. And it's like, oh, okay, we're going there. But I agree. As maintenance supervisor, a previous maintenance supervisor, like I told you, when I had my interviews and I sat down with the managers, some of you were thinking, my God, I would never hired you. But I got hired and I was pretty good at it. But I wanted control. And it seems like some of that control is being taken away from supervisors when these agreements come into place. I'm not saying they're a bad thing. Again, just throwing it out there for conversation. But what do you think? Are purchasing agreements a good thing or a bad thing? Let me know in the comments. Would love to hear what you think. And if there's anyone out there who wants to hop on a podcast and let's have a round robin and a back and forth, would love to have you on. Would love to continue this conversation and see if we, can't just come up with some type of middle ground or something that actually works, or maybe there's something we can put together to management companies or maintenance supervisors. I don't know, but let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great 2025. And we'll see you on the next one. All right. Bye.